Dr. J, I don't have the best behaviors with money. I can be just like a pretty frivolous spender and I don't always know what's coming in and out of my account. Where can I start if I want to improve my money behaviors?
Oh, well, at least you started with the easy one, which is I know I have a problem. By the way, the interesting, the data says about 80% of your success with money are your behaviors. So we're all not good. My behavior that's a problem is Amazon. All right. I have this problem that I will order stuff on Amazon and it'll show up on my porch and I don't know what I bought. That's a problem. So we all have like an Amazon, DoorDash, whatever. I don't love this. Well, my lattes are my problem. No, lattes are a symptom. It's not the actual problem. So we need to look at where are we spending our money. And when you get in the money management system, we'll talk about what we must, should, could, and won't spend money on. But it's also a reality check of where'd you come from? Your money behaviors are based on your childhood, the way you were raised, which, like, I don't want to get too much into the therapy of this routine. Some people actually do, but it's a matter of understanding why you're doing the things you're doing. For example, I grew up without money, and money came in, and as soon as it came in, we spent it. Does that make any sense to you, Katie?
Yeah, I think I was used to kind of a boom and bust cycle growing up. So sometimes we had quite a bit of money and then sometimes we had like no money and it was like a roller coaster ride.
Yep. So when you've done that, the feast or famine routine, you start bad behaviors. So you start, that's actually like living paycheck to paycheck. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not on a budget. So budgets are part of what's going to help change your behaviors. But the other question is, are you communicating about finances? So this is the question of, are you actually talking about it? Now, let me ask, Katie, when's the last time you and your spouse had a conversation about money? Not like a fight about money. That's not communicating. A conversation of, hey, let's talk about our money.
I think we actually do this periodically, but we don't really fix, nothing really gets fixed in between. But I would say we just talked about it as recently as yesterday.
Great. If you're single, you don't have somebody to bounce it off of. So that's kind of a good and bad. So I'm going to encourage you to find an accountability partner if you're single to do that. With your spouse, that's where you're working that through and saying, hey, let's talk about this. If it's you alone, or you have more issues, let's call it that. I say that in life, people need three people. They need a therapist to look back, a spiritual person to look up, and a coach or planner to look forward. Chances are one of those three areas needs to get improved for you. And you know better than I do of the judge of that. The spiritual might be mindfulness, could be a lot of different things. If you like one of those three areas, like I want to look back at my history with money and that's all you want to do and you don't look forward, then I'm going to say you need a coach. Whatever you like doing, you probably need the other one. Which one is it for you, Katie?
Yeah, I probably need a coach, but someone to help me look ahead.
Okay. So by nature, you look back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. By nature, I look back and I think that I kind of, at least with money, I'm more living in the moment and just like, what do I have right now instead of trying to plan out where am I going to be? Like, what are my goals in 1 year or 5 years or retirement? I kind of haven't thought through a lot of that stuff. So it feels very kind of day to day, week to week right now, which doesn't feel super secure.
That's fair. And we're going to, and you'll see it in other videos, we talk about this concept as adulting to an extent. They talk about child versus adult behaviors. Child behaviors, you just do what you want and what feels good and you just do it. Adults set a plan and stick to it and set a set of goals. And goals don't have to be like, oh, hey, I want to have $1 million. Goals can be anything. I need to upgrade my car. I want a better house. I just don't want to like be in debt. I just don't want to be paycheck to paycheck. But the goals are going to help you make better choices now. Let me give you an example of this. You want to travel. If you want to travel, which a lot of people do, cool. Maybe I want $5,000 for travel. Great. Then the next question becomes, every time you're making a purchase, like my Amazon, do I want to travel or do I want this trinket from Amazon? Now there's some thought process behind this. If you don't have a goal and don't have a reason, you start losing it. Where I'm going with this is you have to want to change. That's the behavioral component. I can't motivate you to change, but then a goal is going to keep you doing it. And it's got to be something that's ideally positive. Paying off debt's one of those fun ones where like it always feels negative, but it is positive in the end, where it's going to start working through that. The other thing is to get some type of stop in there when you start doing your bad behaviors. So a great example of this, if you're a retail therapy person, and if you wonder what that is, that's when, I'm sad. What do I do? Add to cart. So here's what we do if we're a retail therapy person. Add it to cart, go ahead, but you're not allowed to buy it for 24 hours. You get the win, like you feel like you bought it, and you might not actually buy it. You might also get a coupon because they're like, hey, you left this in your cart and you didn't finish the sale. And they're like, oh, I want to do that. Food for thought. You want to put some type of barrier in there. If you're also one of those people that just always beats yourself up, which that's me too, we're all kind of mean to ourselves. You've got to start looking at it saying, hey, would I allow somebody to say that about my spouse, my friend, my family member? And if you wouldn't, then you can't say that about yourself. Now, by the way, that one I am not an expert on. I still beat myself up a bit too much. And what happens with finances, people go, well, I already screwed up my budget for the month, so forget it. No, tomorrow's a new day. Oh, return that thing you just bought and start over. I think the hard part with it is money behaviors is just going, okay, I'm making 1 or 2 improvements at a time. Now, here's the thing. If you've been trying to improve your money behaviors and you've been working at it for 6 months, 12 months, you've tried it before, you haven't made progress, then you probably need somebody to help you. Whether it's a financial planner or there's financial therapists, there's other things, variety of people to help you. Now, that's going to feel weird because you're like, well, I got to spend money to save money. I get you. But what's going to change? If you don't change it, a year from now or 2 years from now, you're going to have the same behaviors. So don't be afraid to ask for help. The reality is in the US, we do a terrible job of teaching people to manage money. The only thing I was ever taught was the balanced checkbook, which is a giant waste of time. And you've got the rest of your life that you need to have better money behaviors for. Reach out and ask somebody to help. What do you think, Katie?
I think one of the reasons I like talking to you, Dr. J, is that it feels like the answers you give me are not always what I expect. I think, like you said, I can be kind of hard on myself. And I think one of my hesitations in wanting to reach out to a financial planner would be that I don't want to get in trouble or make myself feel worse about what I am or am not doing. So this feels more approachable for me. And I am excited to kind of get started and start thinking about my money behaviors.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. The way I look at coaching is I balance between kicking you in the butt and patting you on the back. There are times you need the kick in the butt, but it's not like, you spent another $100 on Amazon. I mean, I made that same mistake yesterday. We've all done it. The difference is I have more room in my budget to make mistakes. It's just kind of how it works. But it's not about a judgment thing. And I think a lot of times we just have to give ourselves a break. And then we go, okay, cool. And you know what? Yeah, you're right. You work with somebody, they're going to say, here's some areas to work on. But we're going to do it in a way and say, do you want to work on it? And if you don't, cool. It's not going to say, you bought another latte. What we're going to say is, and I actually did this with my wife. She was a latte person. I bought her an espresso machine. It was cheaper to buy an espresso machine and the Starbucks, ground beans and make our own. She still gets her lattes. And if it really bothers her, I'll buy the Starbucks cup to put it in.